are five different classifications of fire extinguisher ratings. Class A for combustible materials, ordinary combustibles like wood or paper. Class B for fires that involve flammable liquids or gases or other things of that nature. Class C is for energized electrical equipment, where the electrical non-conductivity of the fire extinguishing agent is of importance. Class D is for fires that involve combustible metals. And Class K is for flammable cooking vegetable oils or animal fats. And extinguishers are classified for one or more of these types of fire extinguishers, or fires, excuse me. Technical difficulties at the moment. Cannot move to the next slide. There we are. This is a representative Class A wood crib. In the video, it is initially seen that the pan below the wood crib is burning. This is the ignition source for the wood crib. The wood crib is made of nominal 2 by 2 inch lumber of specified length in the standard and X many number of pieces per layer. And these are installed at 90 degrees of the previous layer. When the weight of the crib is decreased to the percentage specified in the standard, we will see in a moment that the extinguisher nozzle is aimed at the base of the fire and the lever squeezed and the nozzle swept from side to side. This extinguisher is a water-based extinguisher, so it has a longer discharge time. This is a representative Class B pan fire that we'll be looking at. The steel pan is filled with a base of water and a 2-inch layer of heptane, which is a flammable liquid, to provide a distance to the top of the pan as specified in the standard. The heptane is ignited and allowed to burn for 1 minute. When the 1 minute has passed, the extinguisher nozzle is aimed at the base of the fire, the lever squeezed, and the nozzle swept from side to side until extinguishment is achieved. This is a representative Class A wood panel fire test. In the video, it is initially seen that the panel is sprayed with kerosene to assist in the ignition sequence. Then the floor is cleaned of excess kerosene. The first windrow of Excelsior, which is shaved wood, is placed at the base of the panel. And a wick of heptane is sprayed on the floor. The wick is ignited, the Excelsior ignited, the kerosene ignited, and the panel ignited. We will watch the video for about 20 to 25 seconds to watch the fire growth. And now we will skip ahead in one moment toward the end of the test, where the fire is still well established. The Excelsior is cleared. The fire contained to the vertical surface by the water stream. And dry chemical is placed upon the bottom floor to prevent additional fires in that area. Off to the left, we see the firefighter coming into screen assessing the fire to determine his point of attack. And now we see that the other technician has noted some cracking of one of the wood sticks, which is not permitted for the fire test. It is permitted to remove the broken stick, which the other technician is coming in and doing now. The extinguisher agent is applied rather quickly, and the fire is extinguished. This is a representative Class C test. Class C is to check for the electrical conductivity of the agent from the extinguisher. In the video, the item 7, which is the copper target, is located to the left right here. And the horn of the extinguisher, which happens to be a CO2 extinguisher, is located to the right. This is a relatively short video. And during this test, there is 100,000 volts between the target and the extinguisher. As we can see, there is no arcing, and therefore the results are acceptable. Fire extinguisher product standards. I just wanted to give an idea of how long some of these extinguisher standards have been in existence for product safety and certification. 1952, dry chemical fire extinguishers were first introduced. These can be ABC, AB, or D rated. In 1956, carbon dioxide fire extinguishers were introduced, which are BC rated. In 1963, water fire extinguishers, which are Class A rated, were introduced. There are 3 more product standards. UL8, covering water-based agent fire extinguishers, such as a foam extinguisher, was introduced in 1976. In 1980, halogenated agent fire extinguishers were introduced, which are A, B, C rated. And in March of 1999, halocarbon clean agent fire extinguishers were introduced. Whenever I'm looking at any of the product standards or trying to inform somebody of the content of the standard, there are 4 main categories of construction, performance, markings, and instructions. And all of the fire suppression product categories, the standards that are associated with the UL standards and ULC standards, are formatted such that they include these 4 topics. And I'll go into greater detail regarding these topics now. Regarding construction, this is a typical dry chemical extinguisher. Stored pressure type. We have a cylinder for attachment for storage of the agent and the expellant gas. Attached to the cylinder joint and sealed with O-rings is a discharge valve, fitted with a siphon tube, a handle, a lever, a nozzle, a pressure gauge, and potentially a pressure relief. Also on the discharge valve is a tamper indicator and locking device. I won't go into detail regarding all of these various designs, but I will note the differences between the designs. This design of a dry chemical extinguisher is very similar to the last, except it is a larger and therefore includes a hose with nozzle assembly. Excuse me. The next extinguisher is a departure from the design of those previous 2. This is a cartridge-operated dry chemical extinguisher. There's a gas cartridge attached to the cylinder at this point that is also attached with a discharge tube into the extinguisher. And there is a pressure relief at the point of intersection between the gas cartridge and the puncturing lever. There is a cap for filling of the extinguisher and for maintenance of the extinguisher. Also attached to the cylinder is a handle and a hose and valve and nozzle assembly, which is located at the bottom of the extinguisher. This is a carbon dioxide extinguisher stored under a very high pressure when at the maximum fill density. A discharge tube and nozzle with discharge horn is used to assist in expanding and directing the stored liquid carbon dioxide, which is discharged as a gas. This, much like the previous example of the dry chemical extinguisher, is a larger carbon dioxide extinguisher, nearly identical to the previous carbon dioxide extinguisher, with exception to it being larger, and therefore it is provided with a discharge hose and nozzle and a discharge horn. Switching over to water or antifreeze extinguishers. These are almost nearly identical to the larger dry chemical extinguishers for restored pressure, except that they have an anti-overfill tube. And almost lastly, compared to water extinguishers, these extinguishers here, which are foam extinguishers, typically include an air aspirating nozzle for the discharge device. And the last product is the halogenated agent, which would be halon, or it could be a clean agent, halocarbon. It is seen that halogenated agent extinguisher is very similar to many of the basic constructions already shown for the stored pressure, except that we note that there is a slight discharge horn to help in the expansion of the liquid, stored liquid, to a gas when it is discharged. Performance. I could go greatly into performance requirements for our extinguishers, but I thought that I would present a list here. We do corrosion tests for salt spray corrosion. We do discharge property tests for abnormal operation, discharge capacity, discharge duration and range, intermittent discharge, operation, and rate of flow. We conduct leakage tests on the extinguishers at an elevated temperature for 30 days, a 1-year time leakage, a pressure retention test for cartridge operated extinguishers, and a temperature cycling test. And then there's also tests that we conduct on rubber materials. All of the gaskets and O-rings have minimum requirements and are also evaluated following aging and exposure to the extinguishing agents as appropriate. The other performance tests include functional limitations of the extinguisher itself, the discharge horn resistance. We want to make sure that nobody gets electrocuted from the discharge of carbon dioxide. So most of the, all of the horns are plastic in material, and they go through a discharge horn resistance test. We have extinguishing agent tests, handle and mounting device test to make sure that when it is stored, it will maintain its integrity in storage and not sustain any breakage due to external loads being applied. We have a horn impact test, nameplate tests for adhesion, abrasion, and exposures to different types of environments. We have operating temperature tests, and for dry chemical, we have packed chamber and packed hose tests. Additional functional limitation tests include pressure gauge tests. There's a myriad of pressure gauge tests. There are tests on a pressure relief if it is so designed to require a pressure relief device like CO2 and some clean agents. There's a roadability and rough usage test for large extinguishers that are wheeled, as well as for smaller extinguishers for when they may be dropped. There's servicing and valve cycling tests, depending upon the type of extinguisher that we're looking at. There's siphon tube pull tests, depending upon how the siphon tube is designed with threads or with a press fit. And then there's tamper indicator and locking loop tests and vibration tests that are conducted. The storage container, the cylinder itself, can be plastic or it could be metal. In either case, it has to have the strength hydrostatically determined to withstand the pressures that could be developed in a fire extinguisher. In addition to the hydrostatic strength test, we also have a moist ammonia test for brass containing more than 15% zinc. And we also have for plastics, plastic aging and exposure tests and identification tests to verify that it is being used appropriately in the extinguisher in the future. For markings, nothing too exciting. The manufacturer's name, the model designation, the year of manufacture, the use limitations, the gross weight, reference to NFPA 10, and as appropriate for Canadian certifications, reference to the National Fire Code of Canada, operating instructions, use code,
FCC, las instrucciones, las
identification of contents, and inspection instructions. Also included in the markings.
De igual forma tenemos estas marcas. ¿Qué es lo que tienes que hacer al momento de hacer una prueba, de tener un incendio? ¿Qué es lo que debes de hacer? Nos tenemos que asegurar que el individuo que quizás esté ansioso por usarlo, que las instrucciones sean claras y fáciles para cualquier persona que lo quiera usar, que sea tirar, que sea apuntar a la base del incendio, apretar la palanca del extintor y empezar a barrer con la boquilla de un lado hacia el otro. También usamos símbolos. Tenemos que asegurarnos que la gente está usando el extintor adecuado en el momento adecuado. Estos símbolos van a representar la clase A, que es la papelería, la madera. En la clase B, los líquidos inflamables. La clase C, el equipo eléctrico. La clase D, para metales. Y la clase K, para los medios de cocina, quizás aceites o grasas vegetales o animales. ¿Cuáles son las instrucciones? Este es otro de los elementos que están ahí en los estándares. Necesitamos una etiqueta de registro que se va a requerir para todos los extintores para poder identificar quién lo inspeccionó, quién lo está manteniendo y cuándo. Y eso tiene que estar de acuerdo con la NFPA número 10, al igual que el Código Nacional de Incendios de Canadá, si es que procede. También las instrucciones tienen que tener o deben de estar con el producto. Y estas instrucciones del manual son instrucciones necesarias, advertencias, precauciones al momento de la operación, de las precauciones, bueno, o el mantenimiento e inspecciones para el extintor. De igual forma, se necesita, en el caso de los extintores de tipo marino, también se van a incluir una declaración en la que se indique justo en las instrucciones. Finalmente, con respecto a estas instrucciones que estamos viendo, hay un manual de servicio que debe de utilizarse por el técnico que va a dar ese servicio o que tiene ese producto. Tiene que estar disponibles para cada uno de los modelos de los extintores del proveedor. Va a requerir advertencias, precauciones e instrucciones necesarias, una descripción del equipo de mantenimiento, una descripción de los procedimientos del mantenimiento previsto y brindar una lista de números de piezas de todas las piezas que sean sustituibles. Finalmente va a indicar un regulador de presión cuando sea necesario, la capacidad que se necesita, y es decir, cuando se tiene que llegar a esa presión necesaria, y también indicar si es que tenemos un extintor a base de gas, si es que procede. Finalmente, me gustaría mencionar otros dos estándares, el UL de que ya hemos estado hablando, y este es nuestro alcance actual, que es nuestro programa. Una encuesta de fabricante. Tenemos el UL 1803, que es el seguimiento en fábrica de extintores portátiles certificados por terceros. Nos va a dar este programa de certificación e inspección y para todo tipo de extintores que hablamos el día de hoy. Probablemente, y lo que creo que debió haber sido mi primera diapositiva, es el NFPA 10, que se presentó primero en 1921 como un estándar real, como un estándar, y el alcance actual que tenemos es que las disposiciones de esta estándar se aplican en la selección, instalación, inspección, mantenimiento, recarga y pruebas de extintores portátiles y agentes extintores clase D. Antes de que estos estándares empezaran o se publicaran más bien, UL tenía ya certificaciones que van desde los 20 para estos productos. Y este es el estándar de instalación que es sumamente importante y que todavía hoy en día mantenemos. Esta es mi información de contacto.
Including fire extinguishing systems that are fixed, that are not water-based, as well as firefighting foam and equipment. And if anybody has any questions after this, they can feel free to contact me directly or through Diana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Blake, for your great presentation. I have a question in the chat. It is said that regarding the type of agent, for example, for clean agents and foams, are there environmental requirements they need to be evaluated? He's referring to the issues such as HCFC restriction or the presence of persistent organic components in the foams?
Sure, there are requirements for the clean agents, including halon. They have to be included in the US EPA SNAP list, which is the Significant New Alternatives Program for streaming agents. And as far as foam is concerned, there are many synthetic fluorine-free foams that have been produced and certified by UL and ULC that comply with our total organic fluorine requirement, which is less than 1 part per million per milliliter. And that is referenced in UL 162 and ULC S564.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Blake. Is there, I think I don't see any other question in the chat, but as Blake mentioned, if you have any question later, definitely you can let us know. There is his contact, I will write in the chat. And also, if you need any other information, I will be happy to also share my contact in the chat. And you can send me the question, and I will be happy to forward these questions to Blake. If you have any additional questions, oh, I see your hands up, Hernan. So give me a minute, Blake. I suggest that you change the channel because probably Hernan will make a question in Spanish. So please let me know when you are ready, and I can open the microphone to Hernan. Okay,
I'm
go
ready
ahead.
to listen to the question.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Hernan. Hernán, ¿puedes escucharnos?
Sí, señora, la escucho.
Ah, perfecto. Veo tu mano levantada. Si gustas ya, Blake está listo en caso de que tengas alguna pregunta para él. Me parece que estás en mute, Hernán. Si hay dificultades con tu audio, no te preocupes. Igual puedes escribirnos en el chat y yo le hago tu pregunta directamente al ponente. Blake, I have another question in the chat. The question is, what is the difference between NFPA and UL standards? Or how are both categories of the standards related?
UL standards, if I may, are intended to be product standards, and they evaluate the product for its intended end use. And the NFPA standard is for the selection and installation of the product, in the case of extinguishers, and the inspection of the product in the field, and the maintenance of the product in the field. So the relationship between UL and NFPA is very strong. We have strong roots together, where UL has the certification standard or the certifications, and NFPA has the installation standard.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Blake. I hope that that answer helped you to answer your question, John. So I don't see any other question in the chat. I don't know, Hernan, if you already fixed the audio, and if you want to make any question. I see your hand up. So let me know if your audio is working well, or if you want to make the question in the chat. Hernán. Veo tu mano levantada, Hernán Quintero. ¿Tienes algún problema con el audio? ¿Quieres escribir tu pregunta en el chat? Yeah, I think there is some problems with the Hernán audio. So Blake, I have another question in the chat that I would like to share with you. Do you think that the new environmentally friendly organic products will work like inorganic ones, like to extinguish the fires?
What products are we referring to? Foams?
Daniel, si pudieras darnos un poquito más de claridad sobre cuáles productos orgánicos amigables con el medio ambiente tienes en mente, si pudieras proporcionarnos un ejemplo para Blake. I have already requested which kind of products, Blake. So when
Okay.
Daniel let me know which or some examples that they have about this, I can let you know which products are asking or referring to.
Understood.
And I think in this point we don't have more questions. Daniel, I invite you that if you want to open your microphone, you are free to do it, just in case to clarify. But in this case, I see that is already connected Hugo from Monrasi. So before closing the event, I would like to give you the word, Hugo, in case that you would like to say something regarding the event, or if you like to also, I know that you couldn't be in the welcome words, but if you like to say something to the audience, we will really happy to have your words. Entonces, Hugo, si estás por ahí.
Hola Diana, buenos días.
Hola, buenos días, Hugo.
¿Cómo estás? Muchas gracias por esta invitación. No, creo que es un espacio muy interesante el que se está desarrollando, esta unión entre UL, Standard and Engagement y Contec y ANRASI, pues forma una triada que definitivamente podemos trabajar en pro de la seguridad, en este caso pues en particular en Colombia, pero seguramente también haciendo aportes en otras latitudes si fuese el caso. Muchas gracias pues por esta apertura. Nosotros hemos venido también trabajando estos temas desde la perspectiva ambiental aquí en Colombia, por eso planteaba el tema, particularmente el tema de los HSFCs ha sido importantemente abordado desde la unidad técnica ozono de nuestro Ministerio de Ambiente, y hay pues unos calendarios de restricción del uso de estas sustancias. Y también estamos trabajando con los temas de espumas, que es, tal vez algunos lo sepan, otros no, pero las espumas de antiguas generaciones tienen unos elementos, los componentes orgánicos persistentes, que tienen afectación sobre la salud y sobre el ambiente. Entonces, también seguramente van a haber unas restricciones en el uso de estas sustancias, y pues que han sido sustancias que en el mundo se han utilizado y han sido muy eficaces en los combates de incendio, pero que desafortunadamente se ha descubierto posteriormente que tienen incidencia sobre el ambiente, sobre el calentamiento global, bueno, sobre diferentes cosas. Entonces, definitivamente lo que debemos trabajar en conjunto es que la estrategia de protección contra incendios definitivamente sea sostenible, y creo que UL ha venido también liderando estos esfuerzos a nivel mundial de una manera importante. Por lo demás, agradecerles el espacio, y bueno, aquí también desde ANRASI atentos para ayudar en lo que podamos, con mucho gusto.
Sí, claro que sí, Hugo. Me llama muchísimo la atención que mencionas este tipo de productos. Hace unos días, bueno, pues más bien, perdón, hace unos meses y hace unos días tuve el contacto nuevamente con tenemos un contacto de unas chicas que desarrollaron un proyecto de espuma sustentable. Ellas ganaron un concurso internacional para la espuma sustentable, que era básicamente para evitar contaminantes, principalmente en incendios forestales, que este tipo de espuma no afectara pues a la flora ni a la fauna. Entonces, pues realmente al día, si es de tu interés, sería un gusto conectarte con ellas. Ellas tienen este proyecto ganador. Estaban en posición de comercializar este tipo de productos. Nosotros las ayudamos durante el proceso de su proyecto, porque inició como un proyecto escolar, después escaló. Entonces, claro que pues si es interés de Colombia, nosotros con gusto también podemos ayudarles a hacer ese puente de comunicación con estos proyectos tan importantes que se están desarrollando.
Sí, claro que sí. Estamos justamente en esa etapa de exploración, y se vuelve interesante conocer ese estado del arte en la materia, y por supuesto que ustedes con todo el tema de investigación, de normas y de laboratorios que tienen, pues por supuesto que están muy enterados y a la vanguardia de estos temas. Sí nos interesa y de hecho seguramente no solo con esto, sino con otros temitas adicionales concomitantes con esta temática, estaremos seguramente solicitando el apoyo de ustedes.
Por supuesto que sí. Igual, Blake, I would like to let you know that I have already the part of the more information regarding the question that was below. They mentioned that there are several organic products that are being investigated. There is a large number of countries and private companies that have recently announced major commitments to significantly reduce their carbon emissions.
Mhm.
So pledging to the net zero by 2050. So this is the rationale behind the products that are friendly with the environment. So according to the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, fire extinguishers have been defined as sources of greenhouse gases and gas emissions. So I'm thinking that the related question is that if we know that there is any product that is like friendly with the environment, that we know and that UL has tested or known, that if we can share that information with them, that would be helpful.
I'm not sure what type of product we're referring to. Are we referring to a clean agent?
I will let Daniel to give more information. Daniel, ¿te refieres a los agentes limpios? ¿O algún agente que tengas en mente?
No. Por ahora estamos hasta ahora en ese proceso. Y sí, tiene que ver con todo esto de los agentes limpios y efectivamente lo que pues hemos visto es que hay una tendencia importante a buscar tecnologías alternativas. Pero como decía, eso seguramente podemos irlo abordando con tiempo y con la presencia pues del ministerio que también está muy interesado en conocer y en apoyar esas transiciones tecnológicas.
Excelente. Sí, por supuesto. Just like they mentioned the clean agent. So yeah, they were referring to that. So I don't see any other question in the chat. However, as I mentioned previously, if you have any question in the future, just let us know. I write in the chat the contact of Blake. However, if you feel more comfortable doing like the inquiries in Spanish, you can send to me. I'm leaving also my contact in the chat, and I will forward this question to Blake to let you know what is the responses. So I think with all of this, we can close this event. I really want to thank you again to Hugo. Please let us know anything you need. We are really happy to help in this situation. Also through Incotec, we are really happy to support them. They are MOU partners, and anytime that you need this kind of efforts between the three organizations, we are really happy to support you anytime. So, voy a cambiar a español. Muchas gracias a todos los que asistieron el día de hoy. Seguimos a la orden para sus preguntas. No solo preguntas técnicas, igual si alguno de ustedes encontró interés en unirse a nuestros comités técnicos, por favor háganos saber y con gusto también podemos dar un webinar más a detalle de cómo es el proceso para unirse a los comités técnicos de UL, cuáles son los que están abiertos y cuáles son los que ustedes podrían formar parte. Entonces, en cualquiera de los temas, pues igual les compartiré ya en el futuro también el contacto de Nicolette, porque ella sería el contacto para formar parte de los grupos de trabajo en temas de extintores. Con esto dicho, pues les agradezco nuevamente, te agradezco a ti, Hugo, les agradezco también a los colegas de Incotec por haber pedido este evento y por haber participado. Entonces, muchas gracias a todos y les deseo que tengan Que tengan un muy buen día.